Welcome to Featured Artists Live, a weekly show to discuss and listen to your music. With help from my other YouTuber buddies, we hope to give you words of encouragement, guidance, or simply just enjoy your wonderful creations. I'd like to thank our sponsor, DistroKid, all of the wonderful artists, and all of you for watching. Now, let's get on with the show. Hi folks, I'm Mike and I hope you're well. Welcome to the show, Featured Artists Live, episode 21 I think we're on now. Thank you for all the people who are in the live chat now for being here. Great to see you here. Don't forget to hit that like button, of course, so you can tell other people that they should be here as well. Got a really interesting show coming up today. Before I talk about that, I just want to mention the wonderful sponsor we have for this show, DistroKid. I use DistroKid to release all of my music. So do my guests. They provide a really awesome service at a great price, and I'll be talking about them a little bit later on in the show. Now, if you don't know about this show, the idea is that we listen to 3 songs from the community, and myself and my guests sort of critique those songs. They may be awesome, they may have a lot of work to do, anything could happen, we don't know. As I say, I think we've got some really interesting songs today. Some really full productions, in fact. Some productions that have involved more than one DAW in their use, so there's a bit of hybrid stuff going on there. A couple of songs which have used what we associate with mobile recording, which is very apt, in actual fact, for the guests that I've got on today. And some really, what I'm going to say is some very produced songs today in 3 different genres. So something to really get our teeth stuck into, and hopefully we can all learn something along the way as we discuss what is great and what is not so great about these songs and the mixes as well. If you have not entered any music for this show, you can do so. It's an ongoing thing. There's no limit here. There are links in the description down below so that you can submit songs. You can also post songs on my Cakewalk Facebook group as well. I love watching and listening to people's music there, and often if something catches my attention, I will contact the artist and say, hey, you want your music to be on the show. Now, there's a lot to get through today, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce my guests. The first of which has just come off of an interview herself this morning on her own channel, which went on for about 2.5 hours. So I am, of course, talking about the wonderful, the amazing, the one and only Jade Starr, who is never there when I bring... Yay!
Hey everyone.
Always
Hey Mike.
the same, and you get me every single time. This is like a trick you play on old men, isn't it?
Yes, I do. I love it. It rocks my jollies.
Wow. Let me just get straight into it. I've watched little snippets of the interview you did this morning with Nikki Tedesco. I'd never heard of her before, and I was just about to look at her music when I was watching, because your interview was really engaging. She was really interesting. Just quickly, tell me about her before we talk about you. How did you get in contact with her? What's that all about? What kind of music does she make? In 30 seconds, please.
So I came across her through a metal website years ago. She was this amazing bass player from the US, from LA, and I just became a fan of her music. She kind of got that L7 kind of thing. She's a killer bass player. And I had an interview with somebody else on the show, Kim Harden Hudson. It turned out she was friends with her. Then I joined her Twitch stream and started following her on Twitch and just reached out. And she's just an amazing bass player. So she plays metal mostly. And we just had a blast today. It was so much fun. And we went over time because we were having a good laugh. And that's what interviews are about, you know, not just formulaic questions, just having a good time and find out who people are, how they tick.
And, you know, I'm sure people always have a good time with you, Jade. No, but they don't, do they? Because another part of your show today, you were talking about online, let's call them trolls. We'll be polite and call them trolls. Or we could call them absolute fucking scumbags as well. So
yeah.
I'm just going to adjust something here. Did I swear? Oh, I thought
you
Pete
did.
Johns
What
was...
is going on? Man.
It's nearly Christmas. It's because Pete Johns is about to be on the show, and I feel like we've all got a license now. It's like if the Pope swears, then we can all fucking swear, can't we? So Pete Johns has opened that floodgate, and we're going to do it right from the beginning of the show. There we go. But anyway, you were talking about trolls, people who are sort of, what's the word? A little bit rude to you.
Yeah, I get death threats. I get people wishing I was dead. And you know, it makes me laugh these days because like it is a reflection of who they are, not me. So you can take that to heart, but you are doing yourself a disservice. It is not worth it. The internet is full of people who would never say that to you in real life. But for all that you can, if you focus on the negatives too, like you miss all the good comments.
True, very, very true. Yep.
You delete them and you move on.
Thankfully, you know, I've got to say, because I don't want to get too into this, but in the sense of I don't get too much of it. I get the occasional thing, as we all do. But, you know, I know that because of your gender and stuff, that makes you much more of a target. It just sickens me, honestly. If anyone is a subscriber of mine and they feel the need to abuse people like you, then please unsubscribe from my channel and go back to whatever hole that you normally live in. Not interested in having you as a subscriber, not interested in having you as a friend, nothing like that. Watch my subscribers drop down. But no, seriously.
No, thank you
seriously,
for that. That's really
come
nice
on.
to say.
I mean, it's I have no time for it, and there's just no need for it. Anyway, I'm going to move past it because we could talk about this for 2.5 hours, and a person who's positively terrified that we might talk for 2.5 hours, and it positively sends shivers up and down his little spine, is Mr. Pete Johns, who is there he is. He's in his cricket.
Aussie. Oi, 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 oi. Hello. How's it going?
For those of you who don't know, currently, if you're an Australian or an English person, one of the greatest competitions is going on with a sport called cricket. This is totally the wrong time zone to be talking about cricket. We won't talk about it for too long because our viewers will just go down. It's like when Canadians are talking about ice hockey, isn't it? And we all go, oh, let's start talking about ice hockey.
Can you isolate another group of people, Mike? You're going to have no one left. You're like, no, we don't like anyone from any other countries. And,
I'm feeling so rude this morning. But anyway, Jade's frozen on a really awesome face there. I love that, Jade. bit of a camera freeze there. Anyway, so I haven't let Pete talk yet. He's a guest on the show. Don't worry about talking, Pete. I do all the talking. But Pete is, like myself, a lover of the game cricket, and that's why he's wearing the green and gold today, which is the colours of Australia. And he's be heading off there.
I will. I put Mike on notice. I said, mate, I know you like to talk, but if we could keep this one around the 1 hour mark, it'd be good. Although I must admit, I wanted a box of popcorn just to listen to Mike and Jade chatting there before. I'm like, I'm not sitting back in the audience. I don't want to be part of this show. I just want to watch it. This is awesome. And Mike's sworn twice, which means that we're now even because I've sworn twice on his show before. So I feel good.
So I know Jade's having a couple of technical issues there, which I'm going to wait just for a couple of moments to allow Jade the chance to come in, especially because the first song we've got up, I think Jade's going to have so much to talk about with it. But Pete, apart from going to watch the cricket today,
yes,
what's new in the world of Pete Johns Studio Live today? Oh, have you been on the show since you passed 100,000 subscribers? I don't think you have.
I don't think I have. No, thank you. Yeah,
we congratulated you on last week's show. I doubt that you saw the replay because I know that you only watch the show when you're on it. But we did congratulate. Congratulations, man! What a journey it's been. Hey.
It has been, a journey is the word for it, and it's been a marathon as opposed to a sprint, as you know. This whole caper that we do, and so it's wonderful to get a subscriber number, but it's a bit like, you know, if you get 1,000 streams or if you get 1,000 follows on Instagram, it's a number and it's a vanity metric, but it's more of an indicator of the effort is the way that I look at it. It's not a reward, and it's not, you know, something that I'd walk around and like, get my silver play button. I've got to apply for that actually. I haven't done that yet. Apparently, you have to actually apply for it. I'm not going going to walk around and just like hold that and go, me right there.
That is so you. We were talking about this, right? We were talking about, I can't remember who I was chatting with about it. We were saying, oh, Pete's not going to hardly celebrate this at all, you know. I mean, whereas me, I'm getting closer to 100. Man, you're not going to stop hearing about it until I get to 200,000. I'm going to go on and
I
on
could be
and
posing topless with his and posting on Instagram.
I will. I will. Never mind just swearing on the show. I'll be naked on the show with just that play button in front of the vital areas, just for fun. You'll never take it away from me now, because then...
Ooh, that's getting saucy.
Jade's back, thankfully, to rescue us.
To rescue
the
us
way
from,
this show is going.
It's all going downhill. It's been... it is good, and look, we will be doing a celebration. I'm not going to do a 100k subscriber celebration-a-thon or anything like that, but we're doing an end-of-year celebration. I got Georgie involved, which I know
cool.
the crowd like a lot more, because I don't like looking at this mug for a couple of hours, so you get to look at something a bit more pleasant. But no, we'll be having a bit of a end-of-year celebration, and we will do, because a lot of people have said, you owe it to us. Forget about you, Johns, you owe it to us. We've been the ones doing the hard work.
Well, it's true,
watching
though.
your
I
face
agree
all this
with
time.
them. I agree with them. It's selfish of you not to celebrate your accomplishments, which everybody has taken part of. Talking about partners, I released a video yesterday and made the great mistake of having Susie in it, because all of the comments talked about, oh, Susie sounded great. Susie looked wonderful. Why do I do this? Why do I do this?
Old man egos can't take it when people like our wives more than us. It doesn't go.
That's so true. And now listen, Jade is looking like she's having some technical issues there. Can you hear us, Jade?
Yeah, well, I'm almost back. My computer shut down. Wow.
Ooh,
that was odd.
Scary.
Very odd.
Well, I hope you're going to be there for a while, because I'm going to push on and have us listen to the first piece of music so that Pete isn't late for the cricket.
Yep, let's go.
Now, this first song is, it's got a band name, but I think it's actually one person. So King of Rockets, Mr. Sunshine is the name of the song. And King of Rockets is actually Joe Freeman. And Mr. Sunshine is a song about mental health. Now, this is interesting. The primary sort of, or the door that was used with this was Cakewalk, but using a thing called Rewire, which I've never used before. Joe actually used Reason as well. So I think the idea is you can use the instruments and things which come with Reason, and have like an instrument rack using Rewire and Cakewalk. Never done it myself, but that's what was done here. Interface used was a humble Focusrite Scarlett Solo. There's a lot in this piece of music. So when you go, it's just a one-channel interface used. That's very interesting. Live bass played through an Ampeg SVT VR amp sim. DI electric guitars played through Waves CLR guitar plugins. Percussion is a stock Reason loop. The synths are Reason's friction model strings rack extension. I don't know what any of this stuff is, by the way. I've no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just reading off the script. Blah, 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 blah. Stuff to do with Reason, which I don't understand. Acoustic guitar, mandolin, and vocals recorded using a humble Australian Rode NT1, or NT1A could be. And just a quote from the artist before we play the song. When it comes to recording vocals, I like to bounce the music down to a... Hang on. Word has done a weird thing. Okay, it's going to be one of those days. I like to bounce the music down to a stereo track, then import it into a new project. So takes all the instruments, bounces them to a stereo track, then puts it in a new project, then records the vocals. Oh, wow. I usually have quite a few layers of vocals, so this method helps to simplify things. It also frees up the computer's resources. Once I finish recording the vocals, I EQ them and use Waves Vocal Writer to level out the the volume stuff. So interesting approach, and it's not the only person on today's show who's actually used that approach. So let's go ahead and actually listen to the song. As I say, it's called Mr. Sunshine.
Mr. Sunshine, won't you please follow me? down. Put the brakes on. Put the brakes on. Put the brakes on. I need to slow down. I need to hear the pin drop. I need to hear the pin drop. I'm just a hitchhiker. Here and now is all we have. There's nothing else to think of. Nothing more to do. Keep me away from my shadow, my shadow. La 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 la. Hey, Mr. Sunshine, won't you please follow me? Hey, Mr. Sunshine, won't you please follow me? Follow me.
Well, as we discussed before the show, and I'll let our audience know that I'm really interested in all of us learning from this music. And I get a feeling from this particular piece of music, there's a lot of good stuff to say. And if you want to say good stuff, my guests, please do. But also, let's talk about why it's good. And if there's some stuff in there not so great, then I'm always happy to talk about that as well. Let's bring up Mr. Johns, first of all. I saw you bobbing your head a little bit there, Mr. Johns. What were your thoughts?
I do like something that I can get into a groove and into the pocket. That's the first thing that stood out for me, is that the timing is not everything, but it is the fundamentals. And a good song can be ruined by poor timing. This wasn't the case. This was right on the groove. That was very cool. From the start, nice simple arrangement in the pocket. Love the lyrics. I don't want a Lamborghini, I just want peace of mind. Here. I can definitely appreciate that. The guitars, the electric guitars were great stereo. So in terms of why they were great, two different tones, nice stereo mix, nice balance. That worked really, really well. The arpeggio call and response that you had there with a bit of reverb and delay on that, the sort of background, they're the things you're not hearing because they're not up front, but when you're listening in carefully, which I was trying to do, you can actually hear that really complements the guitars and the vocals and just sort of bounces around in a really nice way. I thought, now here's the thing, I was getting ready, I was typing my notes, I'm like, the drums are a little dry, they're not really doing much. And then it got to that break halfway through the song, and the drums went completely away, and it came into this awesome percussion that was added in there. So the one, I was trying to find a criticism because I'm like, Mike's going to want me to say something that could be improved. And I'm like, yeah, make those drums a little bit less dry. And then they did. So job done. And then like the acoustics that came in, I think there was a bit of mandolin, someone might have said, or an acoustic guitar in there. That added a lot of sense of space. And the overwhelming thing with this song is that there wasn't too much. When a lot of people are layering up instruments, there's this sort of tendency to go intro sort of low end, then build up, and then build and build and build and build and build without pulling out a little bit. So some of those instruments that came in and then went away, that's the key to this, is it created space so that when the organ came in towards the end, it had room to breathe. And then when that nice breakdown happened with just the vocals and the arpeggios in the background, there wasn't guitars in there overpowering it. I think, especially guitarists, we're very, very guilty of, hey, a little lead lick over the top of this bit would sound cool, wouldn't it? No, not always. Sometimes the absence, sometimes the blank space is what makes the stuff actually shine. So I thought it was kind of Muse-ish, a little bit of Knights of Sidonia, just with those different sort of vibes in there, a little bit laid back version of Muse, but I really liked it. And again, hopefully there was enough in there that I said about why it was good, but yeah,
No,
it's the sort of song that I'd put headphones on and just kick back and listen to a bunch of times, because I think there was enough in there to keep you interested time and time again.
And I felt like, given the length of the song, I think it's actually close to 5 minutes long. It's quite hard to pull that off if you really just have the same thing going on. For me, it was like there was little bits of extra things happening, just enough to make me go those extra 30 seconds, those extra minute, and it kept me then going throughout the whole song. Nice little feast for the ears there. What did you think, Jade? I mean, again, we were all bobbing our heads, and it's nice to have a little head bob in the morning.
Yeah, look, it's hard to find anything wrong with a song like that. First and foremost, First and foremost, does the song keep your interest, and do you move to it? That's the most important thing about a song, as always. You know, you can sit here and critique technique and recording and all that crap, but at the end of the day, it just has to pull you in, and that's exactly what it did. From the onset, I heard this kind of, I don't know what it was, there was this kind of noise in there. It was almost like a radio searching between stations.
Right.
And there was a callback to it at the end, and I thought, wow, what a nice bundle. It was nicely wrapped up at the end, and it kind of had that callback to that little noise. There's only something, it wasn't a big part of it. I really love that. I thought the vocals were really fantastic. They were right front and center. The harmonies are really good. The stereo mix was fantastic. I love that breakdown, that first breakdown, as you said, Mike. Sometimes a song you can think, well, this is going to be a little bit too long. You want to fit into that like 3 minutes, 3:50 or whatever it is. But it just kept pulling you back in. Hard to define what style it was. Clearly, this artist listens to quite a few different styles of music, and that came through very resoundingly. I love the breakdown at the end with the drums. Reminded me very much of Breaking the Girl by Red Hot Chili Peppers. That like banging the cans kind of thing. That sounded really fantastic. I really love the way it began and ended in a similar way. As I said, it felt like a complete package, and it kept me hungry to keep listening to it. Very hard to find anything wrong with that particular song.
I kept thinking, and I don't know why I'm thinking this, it's very hard to pin it down, but I kept thinking, I bet this artist doesn't mind listening to a little bit of Frank Zappa here and there, because there was something in there of that. A little, I don't know, Zappa could be a little bit cheeky at times. There was, lots of irony in there. Just to see the music itself, which was mature music in terms, that's the wrong way to say it, but yeah, music with a little bit of complexity in there, but still listenable, which was great. I just want to sort of say about this, there's not much to say about the production. I can't really suggest that any instruments were too quiet or too loud or anything like that, and I enjoyed the composition. But I would say to people watching that I want to go back a little bit to what was involved with this. A small, cheap, Focusrite Scarlett interface, okay, using mostly things which have come with the door. There's just not a lot of really expensive equipment involved in here, but the creativity made it sound like this. Wow, there must be some lots of gear used in this, but no, not at all. This could very well be produced, by the sounds of it, on a little laptop or maybe even a mobile device, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, before we have some words or a word from our sponsor. And today we are going to look at the Spotlight feature from DistroKid. Jade, it's up to you to point to the link to DistroKid. Oh, yeah. Oh, you've got it there.
Oh, that's my link. Yours over there.
There you go. Thank you, Jade. Thank you. Oh, dear. Submit your music to the DistroKid Spotlight feature. It gets entered into this competition where it gets played alongside other songs, and people will vote for which of the two they see on the screen is their favourite. Now, the better you do in this process, the more likely you are to appear in one of DistroKid's playlists on Spotify, and that means your music's got a much better chance of being heard. So you simply go ahead and select one of your songs, and then you've just got to select a 29-second clip. The best part of the song, it would be the best way to go with this, and you've got this nice sort of interactive feature here to do that. You simply then select the Connect with Spotify button and you're away. So that's a fun little feature on DistroKid, which I use once in a while, and it's a great way to get yourself. It's good on DistroKid that they not only have the ability to do all the functional stuff to upload your songs and get it out there, but always a few fun features on there as well to help you a little bit with marketing and things. Jade, I think it's this song. I could be wrong.
Uh-oh.
You were talking about death metal growls in your live show earlier, and I thought, oh, that's interesting that you've talked about that, because I think it's this one from memory that may have a bit of a growl going on in there. I don't know if it's death metal growl, but can you give us an example? Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
That's the one. Can you do that, Pete? Can you do it? Really great.
Oh, man.
It'd be great if they were calling the cricket today, wouldn't it? In death metal growls, it'd be like, England stuffed up again.
Barmy Army.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if the Barmy Army were death metal, I would so go over and sing with them. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't it be fun? Now, our next song up, and by the way, I just want to say quickly to the people in the chat, do keep your opinions coming about what you're hearing as well. This is a live show. I could record this whole thing, and it'd be no fun, though, because we wouldn't have people in the audience making their opinions known as well. So do let us know in the comments about what you're hearing with these songs. So, this song is by Quizboy, and I think, again, this is a band name which is really just one person, and the song is called Invalid or Invalid. I'm not sure the pronunciation, or whether even they're spelt differently, because I'm a little bit dyslexic, it seems. But anyway, Quizboy is Ben. The track is one of 6 being released on an EP on December the 31st this year. So do check the links in the description for all of the artists that appear on the show. Check out the rest of their music as well when you get the chance. Everything else I'm about to read out to you, or more or less everything else, is quotes from the artist. So, quote, the approach I took was to mix all instruments to the best of my ability, then take that mix, export it, and dump them back into a new cakewalk project to do the vocals. This is the same as the last song. They've taken the mix and then they've sort of put that together and treated the vocals separately. Now, I didn't put in quotes here, but I know in the email, Ben suggested that he's doing this because he saw I talked about doing it in one of my videos. I can't remember talking about doing that. So either Ben has misunderstood something I've said in one of my videos and created a new little hybrid solution all by himself, or I'm a bad YouTuber and don't explain things very well. I don't know, but and that's what's happened anyway. I think it's an interesting approach. I think there's some validity to it. But anyway, the drums were programmed, and the way I did it was with a scratch track in GarageBand on the iPad. Interesting. Do I say GarageBand or GarageBand, folks? I always forget.
Depends. Are you Australian or English? No one can really tell.
I'm Australian.
Because you sound like an Englishman, so if you can say GarageBand, but if you want to embrace your Australianism, you can go GarageBand.
I know who I'm supporting in the cricket today, so I'm Australian. Okay, so GarageBand it is. The drums were programmed in GarageBand. I don't understand this bit, in quotes. I set the BPM, genre, style, and dynamics, and then recorded a guitar take. I was happy with that. Then I went back and set the algorithm in GarageBand to follow the main guitar riff so that the feels and feel matched the ebbs and flow of the song. Can you do that?
Sure can. That's the auto drummer that I love and Jade hates. You can
Okay.
you can basically get it to use either a bass track or a guitar track, and it will find the beat and it'll try and like match the kicks to the bass beats and that sort of thing. It's actually pretty
Very
darn
interesting.
cool.
Well, we can judge on this song we're about to hear whether that's successful or not, can't we? And I know that Ben was at great pains to make lots of excuses about this piece of equipment because the audio interface used was the Line 6 UX2, but he went to lengths to... I don't think people need to feel defensive about their gear. I know that people criticise Line 6. I couldn't give a stuff. If it works for you, it works for you. I mean, but Ben, bless you, you went to great lengths to explain to me that you only use the audio interface part of this and not the preamps part of it. But you know what? If you love the preamps in Line 6, use the bloody things. Vocals used an AKG P120, and the plugins used were TH3 guitars. It's a guitar sim which comes free with Cakewalk, Reverb, which is another Cakewalk reverb plugin, and Boost 11, etc. So, or TDR Kotelnikov as well, which is one of my favourite plugins as well, by the way. So that's what was used. I hope I've got this right, and I'm going to be listening for death metal growls. It could be the last song, maybe. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll find out right away.
Something different as
I got to say, Quiz Boy is actually in the chat there, and very glad to have you here, and very brave of you to come here when I've got these particular two guests, because although they can be nice, they can be very constructive at times. And I'm a bit concerned, I've got to say, Ben, Quiz Boy, I'm a little bit concerned because I didn't see much head bobbing from Jade during that, and I wasn't sure if Jade's camera's actually frozen again or not at this stage, but there just wasn't much head. So I'm going to go to Jade first. Look, Jade, this is all about, giving love in a kind way. So what have you got to say?
No, I was actually writing notes, but I was head bobbing. I was, and I gave some horns.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Ben,
Sorry.
and again, and I will give some constructive criticism, but as always, remember it comes from a place of love. I really enjoyed the song. That's the most important thing, and I will always stress that the song was awesome. I like that style of music. I could hear some Nirvana in there. I love the variation to have some growls in there because you need some dirt, man. I love dragging things through the dirt. I'm a metalhead, but I play lots of other things as well. All right, the things I will touch on. If I was a engineer and got the chance to remix this is what I would do.
Yep.
So that's how I approach this show. I found the guitars a little bit muddy, just for my liking, and I know it's grunge, and that's all good. I just wish the vocals had been a little bit more upfront. There were parts throughout the song where vocals were a bit buried in the mix, and then when the chorus kicked in, they were way up front. There just could have been a bit more consistency with the vocals being up front all the way through it. As I said, I love the growls. So and I think in the verses too, and this is a really hard thing to learn too. To be able to just pull back the guitar a little bit. And so when you come into that chorus, the guitar booms and you do get that impact. So if there's a way to even play the guitar a little bit just more refined, but still with that grunge, the same distortion and just a little bit more softer, then when it comes in, it's just got that impact and it smashes you in the face and punches you, leaves you bleeding and wanting for more. So they're the only critiques. I think it was an awesome song. I really enjoyed the growls. I really loved the song. I was bopping away. I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, if I had my engineer's hat, I'd probably just maybe sort the tone a little bit and just bring the vocals forward because they were great vocals and it was very catchy stuff. So, but that's it. Fantastic song. That's the most important thing. I really enjoyed the song, and that's all that counts at the end of the day. And I just want to touch, the drums are great. I love the GarageBand Auto Drummer because you can make it sound fantastic by not trying to overdo it, and they did their part. They kept it all together. Nice stuff. Great stuff, Ben. Where did Mike go?
Oh, we've lost Mike.
Hang on.
Welcome to the Jade and Pete show here on
We're left alone.
This may be the first time that we've lost a host on here, but yeah, I'll continue on. Yeah,
Go for it, Pete.
I'm down here in the corner, but I'm going to give my feedback here, and we'll wait. We'll wait for Mike to. Yeah. Oh no! Don't pinch me.
Chopping his head.
Right. Yeah. This is. We're professional. This is where we're going to start playing. It's like, yeah. Now we're going to spill the real beans on Mike.
I'm stealing stuff while he's gone.
Quick,
grab everything. Let's
loot
get out
the
of
place. I'm sure Mike will be back, but we'll. I think you're in the Death Star there, so you may have destroyed him. There you go. I agree with basically everything you said, Jade, which is not surprising because Jade and I have similar kind of tastes and similar kind of musical backgrounds when it comes to this sort of stuff. And this transported me back to the mid '90s to listening to Screaming Trees and early Nirvana and a lot of Australian bands like Scream Feeder and Tumbleweed and just that sludgy, grungy goodness. So I agree that first and foremost, good song was the first thing I'll say about that. I agree with the vocal processing, like in that first verse in particular, just a little bit buried. So it just kind of, like you said, I think you could have just used that up. And the one thing that I point to here, and I think that a lot of folks, when you're starting out, don't be afraid to use automation on your vocal. Automation is an amazing tool. Compression works well to automate that stuff. But what I would do, again, as you said, Jade, as an engineer, I'd jump in there and I'd grab that vocal and I'd just lift it in that first verse. And then just to give it a little bit more pump. Oh, he's back. We've been playing around without you, Mike.
Well, my whole internet just went down in my house, so that's why I disappeared. So I was just.
We were soldiering on, mate. It's all good. We said
I'm
all
sorry to
good
interrupt.
things.
Did you get to hear the whole song and everything? Oh yeah, that's it. We were
yeah.
listening to it. Oh, thank you.
Jade finished her bit, and I'm halfway through my rant, mate. So if you want to
Carry on. Let me
wanna-
hear the rest of your rant there.
I was
please.
here in the corner just going, I'll just give my little rant.
Let me
about
just there you go.
There we are.
You're
So
a big
I
boy
was
now.
agreeing with Jade around the vocals. So I thought that I would love to automate those vocals up in the quieter parts, and then because they were nice and loud in the chorus, but I just think that they lost a little bit in there. The guitars, as Jade said, were a little bit muddy, and I think the problem was that especially in those verses, because it was such a gravelly, cool, grungy vocal, they were both kind of in that same low mid kind of range. So they were kind of competing with each other. So I think to Jade's point, if you just sort of just took a little bit of that low end out of the guitars, leave them a bit meaty, but a little bit of low end out, you'd hear those vocals shine through more, especially in those verses. And then you can kick the distortion on hard in the chorus and do the shouting, which will work really well in that. What else did I have here? Second verse was louder, and that worked really well too. I liked the drums as well, and I know. So I always I don't tease Jade, but yeah, because I use auto drummer all the time, and Jade likes to create better drum sounds, and Jade actually plays drums on my songs now. So she's replaced the auto drummer for me, so I don't even have to think about drums anymore. So
Auto drummer.
I have
Thanks,
a real
Kyle, for your services.
Kyle Anders, you're on the dole now, boys. And what I did like, though, in terms of the songwriting and the arranging, the crossover vocals, like that was something that, again, that was a real grunge thing where you'd lead into something and you'd finish the verse and then the chorus will start before the verse ends.
Yeah, right,
the production of those vocals was really good. And the double, there was, I don't know, but I was listening in and it sounded like there were some doubled vocals and maybe some octaved vocals in there as well in the chorus that sounded really good, like up an octave and doubled in there. So it was nice and thick in those choruses. But to Jade's point, yeah, really good song. I would listen to that a bunch of times, but I think, yeah, if there were 3 tweaks I could make, I would automate those vocals. I would EQ out those guitars to just kind of move some of that low and mids there. And actually, no, there's only 2 things. Everything else I think would work well. I think those 2 little tweaks, and you could have a really kicking song that would just punch you in the face in a good way.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't got much to add to that. I agree. I thought of it in much more simplistic terms in terms of the vocals. Just felt like they could come up a little bit in the mix for me. I was a bit torn about that in the sense, I was aware that I was listening to a genre of music that I don't normally listen to, and maybe that can be a bit of an artistic thing there, but yeah, I just felt just a little bit more because the vocals were good. I enjoyed the vocal part, so it'd be nice to have them up a bit. Again, I just want to reiterate to people in the chat and watching on the replay how little equipment was used to produce a really thick sounding song. So and as Susie always says to me, it's thickness that counts. So moving on, let's talk about...
I'm so sorry, Suze.
You're a very tolerant lady,
thickness of
Susie.
sound
He
that
doesn't
counts.
deserve you.
So I just want to have a quick word from our sponsor, who's probably going to drop me after today's show, let's be honest. But I would like to just play a little clip I've got about the Wheel of Playlist. I like the Wheel of Playlist because it appeals to the lucky nature of getting on playlists on Spotify. Here we go. One of the ways to actually get your music heard on Spotify is to get onto a playlist. Now, DistroKid offers a really fun way to get onto one of their playlists with their Wheel of Playlist feature. Simply head over to your DistroKid account, go to the top right where it says Goodies, then go down to Wheel of Playlist, and then you start off simply by selecting a song, something you've already released, and then click on Connect with Spotify. Now, obviously, the further up a playlist you get, the more likely people are to actually hear your music and enjoy it. So what DistroKid do here with this feature is they give you 3 chances to spin a wheel, a kind of a wheel of fortune type of thing going on here. Now, the best result of those 3 spins determines your number in the playlist. And as I say, the higher up you are, the better. So on this occasion, I achieved 1,088. You can try every day if you like. So maybe that's something you'd like to do to actually get your music in a playlist on Spotify. And our final artist was just saying in the chat there that they've had some good fortune from the Wheel of Playlist on DistroKid there. So, folks, if you haven't signed up for DistroKid, make sure you do, and make sure you release some music in 2022, please. As I always say, stop having it sitting there on your hard drive. It's useless there. Music is a form of communication. It's so that we can perhaps get shared experiences and shared ideas with each other. It doesn't work. You know, if you just do it all by yourself, then it's called something else, and we won't get into that either. So finally, I just want to say, before we talk about the next artist and this song, I know the artists are in the chat, the Lily Pillies, a little bit of a disclaimer here, because I know I've since found that the Lily Pillies are known to one or two of my guests. I know certainly both of you, is that correct? I was both of you. Yeah. Both of you know the Lily Pillies, but honestly, hand on heart, swear on my children's lives, I'd never heard of the Lily Pillies and didn't know that my guests knew of the Lily Pillies before this song was submitted, and so I genuinely heard this music and thought I would like to have this on the show. Okay, so just in case anyone's noticed that Pete Johns actually did interview the Lily Pillies a couple of days ago on his channel, and you think there's some rigging going on, well, if my children drop dead, then you'll know that there's been some.
What you need to know about me and Mike is we're both far too lazy to coordinate anything to that degree at all. So it is 100% going to be coincidental. We're very, very lazy.
Exactly. I'm quite prepared to give up our recent chat on we just talked about cricket basically recently. So nothing about any Lily Pillies in there whatsoever. So the song has genuinely earned its way onto the show, and what I'm going to tell you about it is it's recorded in GarageBand using a Shire mic. I wasn't sure if there is such a thing as a Shire mic or whether there was a misspelling in the email there, and it was some. Yeah, anyway, and an Arturia keyboard and electric guitar. The mic setup was done on, this is so interesting, the mic setup was done on the back seat of a car in a quiet car park. Now, you're supposed to listen to your mixers in the car, Lily Police. You're not supposed to record the bloody song in the car. They're taking it all too far now. Anyway, the production took about 3 to 4 weeks. It must be hard to work in a car, I guess, so it would take 3 to 4 weeks to get everything perfect. And that's a big call now. They've said to get everything perfect. So that's a setup now. We're going to be asking Pete Johns, who's the biggest person on the screen right now, whether the setup was perfect. The challenge was to get the right balance with auto-tune as an effect, as well as some problems with the de-esser. The other challenge was the guitarist is in Italy and I'm in Australia, so there was a lot of WhatsApping going on. I used a few plugins for effects to master the track and used a software called eMastered. I think I've heard Pete Johns talk about eMastered on his wonderful YouTube channel. And if you don't know about Pete Johns' wonderful YouTube channel, you should definitely check his and Jade's links in the description to their amazing channels if Creative Source is just not enough for you. And I would suggest that Creative Source should not be enough from you. You should get lots of different opinions and ideas from lots of different channels, especially, and if you've got time to kill, go to Jade's channel and watch the interviews, because you could kill a lot of time with interviews on Jade's channel.
Do what I do. Just stick them on audio in the background while you're out walking and doing the shopping and, cleaning the dog and doing everything else. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good conversation. You don't even have to be looking at it.
Really great conversation. And anyway, finally, there was a lot of trial and error going on until they were happy with the mix. Proud to say this is an Australian, or at least partly Australian band hailing from Sydney, I believe, here. So let's have a listen to this song, Maybe Someday, from the Lily Pillies.
To stay away from the darkness, and I don't go high so that I won't fall down. To find things to keep me warm from the coldness that I've come to know. The car will only take me
Wow, I think I'm going to go over to Jade first, since Pete's obviously a true insider on this. But it's a good end to the show, actually. I'm just going to say I loved that. I really enjoyed that a lot. But Jade, tell me what you think. Oh shit, Jade's sound has gone. Oh, there we go.
It's my fault. My fault. I had a mute. You can leave now. I always have to ruin the show at the end. No, I've heard that song a couple of times already on other shows. So I really love the song. It's a really great song. And I watched the interview with Lily Pillies on Pete's show the other night. So I really think he's an amazing artist and a really nice person as well. I'm just going to say it, dude. Your vocals are sick. Ditch the auto-tune. It's just my opinion. Let your voice shine, my friend. You have a fantastic voice. So, it's just and that's my personal taste. So take that as it will. And I'm always going to put on my engineer's hat on this show and say what I hear. And I felt like the auto-tune took me out of hearing such a wonderful voice. And
was that an engineering thing though, or was that an artistic choice? Do you think in terms of using it for effect?
I don't know. I guess we're going to have to ask Lily Pillies about that.
Let us know in the chat there.
If I was in the studio and I was engineering that, I would have spoke up to the vocalist and said, I reckon you should pull that out. I reckon go in there and belt that out and let us hear it for what it is. Small thing, but look. All the instruments are. I'm going to put on the critique stuff. I felt like in the verses, I would have loved to have heard the guitar a little bit cleaner, and not so much distortion. So there's a bit of a break, and then the guitars came in and were heavy. That's just my personal thing. And I found like with the mix, because it's a huge sound already. There's a lot going on there. It's a very big sounding song. I probably would have pulled back some of the reverb overall. I felt in some parts there's just a bit swimming in it. And I want to hear everything as clear as possible. And with reverb, it can really bog things down. And even though it's an already big set, this again, my opinion, I thought the kicks punched. I thought the guitar solo was awesome. I thought the vocals were wonderful. Again, I'm going to go back to this. all this is hibbity jibbity flibbity flobbity flu. It's just opinions on engineering and mixes and all that stuff. At the end of the day, did it make my head move? Damn straight. I'm going to give one. Fuck yeah, it did. Yeah. And that's the most important thing. But yeah, I just, auto-tune always rubs me up the wrong way. It is. Yeah.
Fair enough. They're all interesting opinions. I'll have some comment on those in a moment. But Pete, you are the you're the inside man. You've actually interviewed these fine folk recently. So any insider info there? Because I've got some notes, obviously, about the production there. But what did you learn about Lily Pillies while you had them on the show?
Yeah, look, it's tough once you get this close to a song. So I've heard that song maybe 5 or 6 times now, and it's actually harder every time you listen to a song because you're listening and you're getting into the song because you enjoy it and you remember it. It's like you're trying to listen to an old Barry Manilow song. You're not critiquing Barry on whether he hit that one note right. You're just going, "This is Barry Manilow, god damn it! I love
really
you,
interesting
Barry."
that you brought Barry Manilow into the show.
Barry.
I feel like you've sworn 3 times now.
Barry Manilow word. Barry Manilow's not even an F word, it's a C word. Let's continue on. So I actually really dig this song and I like it. And look at it's interesting. The auto tune thing did come up, and I think Manny. So I interviewed Manny, who's here in Sydney, and Manny and his family are the majority of the Lily Pillies, and then Alessandro, who is in Italy, is plays a lot of the guitars and the lead guitar part. So bringing the production together, and I love the fact that we can have these virtual bands now that are across borders and across continents. It's just ridiculously cool. So I thought that was good. But yeah, there was definitely. When we talked about production, Manny mentioned auto-tune, and then I think he mentioned that I think Alessandro may have been one of those people that are against it, putting it in there. But yeah, look, I think the thing is when you're starting out like this, and Manny, we also talked about the recording in the car thing and the fact that he doesn't want to be around other people and have them listening to him while he's belting out vocals with passion, and I totally get that.
I think
that and auto-tune go into that same bucket of once you get the confidence that, hey, actually, to Jade's point, actually, these vocals rock, and if I just belt them out at 110%, they're going to sound great. And even some of that vibrato that you'll get at that top end will actually shine even more because the auto-tune, it not only does it make you hit the right note, it actually takes away vibrato. And a lot of people forget about that when you're going, maybe someday, you're not getting that vibrato that you may want for a bit of passion in those. But yeah, but I really like the video production was good. I think the bass drum, or the kick drum, if you're American and you want to call it that. But the bass drum and the bass guitar really cut through there. It was clear that a lot of production work was done to get the frequencies right. Often you get a lot of mud down in that low end because you haven't EQ'd your guitars and your vocals and your other instruments. But it was really clean bass drum and bass guitar that you could really hear kick through. So I really like that. Liked the synths in the chorus for a bit of top end there. I liked, in terms of the production of this, I liked the fake rise and then the actual rise. So pre-choruses are something that I love in a song, where you go from the verse and then you go into that bit you're expecting it to kick in and it doesn't quite. It just means that when you have that nice reverse cymbal and that nice riser into the actual chorus, it hits extra hard. So I really like that from an arrangement point of view. And I think the whole thing just builds anticipation. It's making you wonder what's going to happen the next time around. So again, like we said before, even though it's like a 4-minute song or longer than that perhaps, you're not getting bored because you're like, what are they going to do this time? Where's it going to go? When is that drop actually going to kick in this time? So that sort of thing, I think, is what's made me able to listen to this song again and again, because you get that fake out and then you get the actual real punch, and it's very cool. So, good stuff from Manny and good stuff from the Lily Pillies. And I think they're going places just between you and me. I think you'll look back and you'll be like, remember that first time we heard the Lily Pillies on Mike's creative show? Yeah, I think I'm onto something here.
Well, interesting you should say that, because I would never set out to be controversial in just for the sake of it when I'm giving commentary, but I'll say that I almost entirely disagree with everything Jade had to say, and I've never felt myself in that position before. First of all, I didn't mind the auto-tune. I could hear that it was an effect. And that's not to say that I don't agree with, you could totally sing without the auto-tune, and you've got a great voice. But I think it can be interesting as an effect. I loved the tone of the guitars. Just about everything that Jade said, I disagree with. But that's what's
happens.
beautiful. That's what's beautiful about music. What I
subjectivity,
did, and I don't really have anything intelligent to say in disagreement with Jade. I just felt no, I don't really get that. But what I will say is that my feeling with the song was what I loved about it is. This could so easily have been like a retro song, like an 80s song or a 90s song, but it sounded very current. You could hear the influences of 80s and 90s kind of rock pop in there, but it was very, very contemporary. It was really cool. I could hear that on the radio right away. And I think that was to do with the type of mix it had. It had a very modern, crystal clear type of mix, especially like the drums on it, actually. I thought they sounded really, really great. But sorry to confuse you, Lily Pillies. You'll just have to decide whether you like my advice or Jade's advice more at this point. I'm the host of the show, obviously, so I carry much more weight. Yeah, thank you so much. I look forward to hearing more Lily Pillies music. And indeed, I look forward to hearing lots of music from many people, anybody who would like to submit your music. We have been discussing a lot recently. I know that I should have more music on the show, which isn't so well developed. And that is my intention, honestly. Just these three popped up this week, and that's the way it came out. But if you've got music that you feel, I don't want you to be scared. I don't want you to watch a show like this and hear these three tracks and think, I shouldn't submit my song because it's going to pale into comparison. Definitely don't have that mindset whatsoever. I know some of you out there are great composers and great writers and great performers, but are still honing your production skills, or vice versa. I want to hear it all, and we can actually you'll be doing. There we go. What does it say?
Chocolate milk.
Oh,
Someone was asking what Jade was vaping.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so do submit your music, even if you've just started out. Maybe you've only been doing it a while. I think Doug was saying to me earlier, Doug, you're in here. You sent me a message earlier to say that you were retracting your submission because you didn't think it was good enough.
No.
Absolute rubbish. I don't know if I've heard your submission, Doug. I'll have to go through and see now. But yeah, I don't want you to feel that if you're watching. We hear. But do be prepared, on the other hand, that you may hear some quite honest critique, which your mum has not so far given to you. So, that's one thing to be aware of. Of course, we are here to try and be at least honest with people, so that we can all grow. I think even as people giving the critique and listening, we grow through this experience as well. So do submit your songs. Follow the links in the description down below for submitting your song for my two wonderful guests who I've had on the show, and I love them both dearly. So glad they're here and that they've been a part of this for the last few weeks. And also, do make sure you check the links for the artists. It's very important that you do that. You follow the links, give their music a listen. Maybe you've heard an artist who is unsigned and you're not a member of that group or band, but you'd like to suggest their music to be featured on the show. There's another idea for you. Put up some. I've only just thought of that. You see, I'm full of ideas.
Full of something.
Let me know about any bands that you know of, or any artists that you know of who might like to have their music put on the show for a little bit of exposure and also for a little bit of critique. Talking of exposure. I'm going to leave the final word this week to a man who's in a hurry. Let's see how quick his final word is. Words of inspiration, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, thank you so much for everyone who's been here in the live chat. You are highly valued. I love seeing these people here every week. Thank you so much. You make all of this happen, and for the people who watch the replay as well. So I just wanted to make sure that I let you know that we do appreciate having you here so much. And with that said, I will finish off with my most esteemed guest, Pete Johns.
I want to say a couple of things.
Jade,
First of all, our friend of the show, friend of mine and Jade's show, Rockin' Ronnie Ward, is doing a live show right now, and he's going to go for about another hour. So over at Homegrown Indie Music Live. Now, I don't think I'm a moderator on your channel, Mike, so I don't know if it'll let me actually paste a link to Ron's show here, but I'll give it a go. But if one of your moderators can find it in the meantime, it did let me paste it, so maybe it'll show up there if the moderators can let that one through. But yeah, jump over and check out that, because Ron does similar sort of stuff to this, and he's a very, very cool dude. He's an American living in
Yes.
Richmond City, and he's just an absolute laugh riot. So you want to go check out Ron. But yeah, to further on to Mike's stuff, I do a very similar show called Your Music Live, and I'm not gonna promote that except to say that what I hear on that is everyone from the gamut of just starting out to polished productions like we've heard tonight. And the reality of the situation is that everyone starts at zero. And the only way, your first song might be your worst song, but the only way to get off that mark, it's like cricket. I'm going to bring it all back to cricket. The only way to get off the mark is to score your first run. And you can't score your first run until you get out there and actually play the game. So get out there and play the game, sign up to DistroKid, make some cool music, submit it to Mike, release your music. There you go, 2022 sorted.
Thanks, Jade.
That's cool.
Awesome, yeah, and I'll just second that. Ron is a friend of mine as well. I actually me and you have done a show with Ron before, Pete, back in the day, early on. I know both of you have suggested I should be having Ron on the show, and I'd love to have Ron on the show. And I'm formally inviting Ron on the show right now. I'm looking at the camera and say, hey, Ron, what you doing, man? You haven't asked me to come on the show yet. Come on, come in.
Can I say something before we go? Just
Yeah,
quickly?
go for it, Jay.
I have an
yeah.
album dropping on January 1st. I'm really excited about it. Been
Oh,
working on it for
awesome.
like 9 months.
Let me put you
with
full
Kev
screen
Hart.
for this. Yep.
So my band's called Desir with Kev Hart. It's a death metal thing that we've been working on. He lives in the UK. I live in Australia. We're super proud of it, and it's dropping on January 1st. So it's called Desir, and yeah, it's heavy as it's really heavy.
Looking forward
I've
to
heard
that,
a lot
Jade.
of it through the production process, and it's very heavy. Like, I'm not a big metal dude, clearly. I'm more your rock and your pop guy, but yeah, I think it's very cool. Lots of growls going on. And can I just say that I'm the only person on this whole show that hasn't said fuck once tonight? So can I get a round of applause for that, please?
Okay, well, thanks very much for that, Pete. I'm glad you finally got it
You
out of
did
your
well.
system. Enjoy your day at the cricket. If I don't see you guys and everyone before Christmas, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a show or not this week. I'm just trying to figure out whether this falls a bit too close to Christmas or not. But I'll wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and no one more so than my wonderful guests, who I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope everyone enjoys their night and their night's sleep or whatever it is they're about to do now. And we will see you on the next show, which check out my social media and you'll know when the next show is when it comes up. Bye bye.